Hi, I'm Diana, welcome to my art channel. I myself am a painter, however today I will show you one of my drawings of a skull that I did for anatomy practice. This video is part of a short series which will include drawings of every part of the body until eventually we get to the point that we draw full poses of the body. And starting off with something like the head, which we will be doing today, will help you have a good, thorough understanding of the whole human body and the skeleton. Skin and muscles sit on top of the skeleton and how this can be affected by movement. In this video, I use a specific book as a reference, however you're welcome to use any references you find online. I would just recommend using this book because it's helped me out a lot. It's by Sarah Simblett, it's called Anatomy for the Artist. I'll pop it up on the screen just now. I urge you to follow along, doing a little sketch yourself of the skull today. All you need is a pencil, a piece of paper, it doesn't really matter the quality. I just use a HB pencil. Let's go! The general shapes that you see. So, this is a circle. That's like the top of the head. The eyes. Can you see that I'm just being messy, loose with it, not worrying about exact lines just yet. That's the nose. It's okay for sketches to look a bit silly. Start really lightly and then just think about shading afterwards. Darker lines of your sketch will be the more definitive ones. So if you start off with rough lines to just figure out where everything is, and then once you like a specific line, darken it up. Those cheekbones, they're quite square actually. I'm just focusing on getting the overall shape of the bones within the face first, and then we can worry about the flesh and the muscles that lay on top of this. Onto teeth. So the cheekbones are quite empty. To show an empty space, I'm just gonna do some depth and darkness in there. To just show that it's quite dark. Yep, just working through some shading now. Usually you should add the shading afterwards, but I feel like shading helps me out with just figuring out where everything stays. You can use your rubber here and there if you made a mistake. I just realized the eyes are much more flat than I've made them. The eye holes, they're not as round at the top as I initially thought. Kind of look like sunglasses actually. So we've got some depth and darkness in there, and we've got these bones that connect right there, and some bones within the eye. I'll put up on the screen the sketch that I'm using as a reference. It's not an image of the skeleton, it's a sketch that someone's already made. So when you're first starting to learn how to sketch, it might actually help to copy other people's sketches, because you can see how loose or how sharp they've made certain lines, and then eventually you learn to look at images and read them. And start to see the image of real life as a sketch. Got that shading in there. Shading of the upper mouth bones. It's quite dark in the nose, so I'm just gonna... Don't be afraid to make some things really dark. When you're first starting to learn, don't worry about how every little thing looks. You just need to go for it and make a lot of bad sketches actually. The more bad drawings you make, the more you learn. You just have to learn how to look at them, review them. Don't be afraid to make bad art. You're your own worst critic sometimes. I mean, most artists are, because we are perfectionists. But the quicker you can learn to just let go of your own expectations of what your art should look like, the quicker you're going to learn to make better art. I find teeth really difficult, so this is actually good practice for what teeth look like. It's really scary actually. Drawing something that you don't typically always draw. Like artists tend to stick to what they're good at, but that's actually the worst way to grow. Because if you only stick to what you're good at, you're never going to learn all these other things that could actually make the thing that you're best at even better. So don't be afraid to branch out into different mediums. There's so many different experiments that you could do which would actually benefit your art practice. When I was first starting learning how to draw, I would be quite obsessed with finding a specific style that's characteristic to me. However, now I realize that trying a bunch of different styles was very important to growing as an artist, and I don't think anyone ever really develops their own style. Everyone's style is ever growing and ever changing. So don't be too obsessed with having your art look a specific way. There is no specific way. Of course we're ever changing because we're always influenced by other art. So I'm just refining these outer lines now to give the whole drawing some more structure. You know, this is not gonna be the best skull I ever draw. But the practice of doing it and just showing up and having a go at something that I might not feel like I'm amazing at makes me a better artist. Because now when I draw a portrait next, I'll have a better understanding of what's going on underneath all of the skin and the muscles that I draw when you're considering, you know, having a go at something that might be a bit scary. It's okay to not be amazing at everything the first time you tried it. Gotta use some contour lines to make this head look really round. This is also my first drawing in a while. I took a bit of a break from art, and that's okay. It's just, I always recommend doing a bit of a warm-up drawing before you start working on your project, just to loosen up your hand with drawing again if you've had a break. Or in general, it's always good to just do some quick pencil drawings. I would recommend not even spending this long on your first drawing if you've had a break. Go on some websites like Quick Poses where you can actually set a timer for each image that pops up and draw it really quickly, and it just teaches you not to worry about what the end result looks like, and you realize that art is not really about the end result all the time. Art practice is about doing a lot of bad art, and that eventually makes you better. Okay, I'm quite happy with my skull, so I might just stop there. That's pretty nice. There's some more little lines right here, like this bone that comes over the eyebrow area. That's quite imposing actually. So just gonna accentuate that. And then little thing at the top, all these little details, they don't really matter. It's just about understanding the general form of the skull, so that you know the sort of shape when you draw a portrait face on. Now you know that the eyes are physically more sunken. All of these things, they sit differently based on the bone structure of the face. Yeah, I feel like mouths for me are particularly hard to draw, but a lot of people struggle with noses and all these really specific things, but understanding the whole thing will help you realize where one specific feature of the face sits within the whole portrait. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that these tips last you a long time with your art practice. If you want to stick around for more, the next part of this playlist will be released soon. Stick around to find out. Goodbye, thank you.